Maybe it's my own fault. Maybe I led you to believe my highlights started on the podium and not in practice.
The legend Rosenberg is a 4-time champion of the world.
Maybe I made you think that every race I did, I won.
2 litres in the tank for legend Rosenberg, rounding through the final corner. Does the greatest to ever do it, but if he doesn't, Scotson David steals it at the yard of bricks.
Maybe it's my fault that you think I'm unbeatable. Maybe I led you to believe that championships were given to me and not something I worked for every single day. Maybe I destroyed the league, or maybe you're just making excuses. maybe you can beat me. Come and try.
And a big welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Formula Virtual Racing. We are here for the third round of the Season 15 Championship, and we are at the European, not necessarily a microstate, but quite a small country of the Netherlands. Here at the Circuit Zandvoort, near the north of the country, a fabulous circuit on the seaside, and one that hosts to our action here tonight. Who better to get to join us, or to join myself in the commentary box, than a true native Dutchman? That is Leroy Vichen. Leroy, hello, thank you for joining me.
Good evening, Evan, and hello to everyone at home. Yes, we're absolutely in for a cracking race here. Looks to be dry at the moment, but of course 18 minutes of qualifying will always be a good one here in Formula Virtual Racing. Jetten is out on the track as the first to do so, and he is followed by Borbjorn.
Yes, so we have a lot of Dutch drivers here on the grid tonight, but none more prominent than the six-time world champion Legend Rosenberg, of course, but not out on circuit now, so we are taking a look at Borbjorn. The Dutch Grand Prix, quite an esteemed history here in Formula Virtual Racing and in Formula 1, of course. We have the Circuit Zandvoort here tonight, 4.259 kilometers, 2.65. We will get this right eventually, folks. 2.646 miles. Not an easy one to say quickly. 14 corners, 4 to the left and 10 to the right. I'm going to be trying Dutch corner pronunciations throughout the evening, like I have for every Dutch Grand Prix. But I now have a Dutchman alongside me for Dutch Grand Prix. So Leroy, you have a very fun task of correcting them tonight.
That will be absolutely a fun task to do so, and I can have a little laughter as well then. Out on track at the moment are Niels Harlow. Luke Davies seems to be going out now as well, as Niels is just gone to stop before turn 3 there, but he seems to be going and continuing his lap here. Legend out on track. He's of course currently 20 points clear of Callum Birch in the Drivers' Championship after 2 rounds already. Is there anyone who can stop him here today? That's of course the question, but we will find that later, of course.
Callum Birch not here tonight either, of course, so Legend is going to be able to run away just that little bit more. It's looking good if your name is Legend. When isn't it looking good if your name is Legend? It's usually quite always looking good if your name is Legend. But Borbjorn has put in a semi-decent time in the first and second sector, so we'll keep an eye on what the third sector's like and what the record times are here, of course, folks. None of that sprint race nonsense this week. It is just your usual Grand Prix, although the sprint race very entertaining last week, of course, in Catalonia. So Joachim Guru is the banker time. That's immediately beaten by Matthew Copsey. Then it is Sam Faith who just goes to second in the McLaren. Strong start to the constructors for McLaren, of course, but more on that later. That's Bas van Ziep, or Bas van Zijp. That's another Dutch name that will be corrected throughout the evening. He goes to 5th position. Luke Davies in the Williams just starting his lap now, as is Legend Rosenberg, as is Dylan McClements, and Vestager Badi. Not quite starting his time just yet. Here comes the second of the 2 McLarens in, and Dylan towards the start-finish line, and that's going to be the quickest of the bunch by quite a margin, 0.558 seconds off, or ahead I should say, of Matthew Copsey. So very strong lap indeed for Dylan. But Legend Rosenberg running for the final corner. Let's see what the man to beat can do.
Oh, that is a 5-minute grip penalty for Cam Dover as he makes his return here after his first race being in Vegas and absent in Spain. That is Legend Rosenberg to a 1.83. That's a really good time here at the start of this qualifying session.
Okay, so penalty very early on for Cam Dover. That's very disappointing. It's currently Aston McLaren, and a 2-team race for a pole position. But Vestager Badi really looking to change that. He's going to get a slipstream.
Where does Luke Davies add himself to the list?
He's going to get a slipstream with his teammate Tim Higher, heading up the hill and towards the bottom, and then down towards turn number 8, using all the curve to the right-hand side. Well, he should be, and definitely using it here as well. So a little bit of a slipstream from Tim Higher. A little bit wobbly on the brakes for Vestager Badi. He's going to have to be careful with this one, not throw it away in the middle sector.
As we just saw Luke Davies going to 3rd spot now, meeting himself in that fight for the 3 constructors at the top. Let's see where Vestager Badi will place himself as he just rounds off the second sector there, going through the last turn here before we come on to the main straight, and then we will see where Avastigabadi will place himself in that leaderboard on the left hand side. Will it be a top 6 spot? Yes it will. That is P2 for Avastigabadi. Quite a gap though on 3/10 to Legend Rosenberg here with 12 minutes to go in qualifying.
Yeah, so good lap there for Avastigabadi, able to go in second. We're yet to see times from Hartl, Dulger, Hernandez, Marriott or Jr. A couple of big names in that there, so the order will take a brief shuffle once they get some times in. It's happening. Looking for the time and just heading towards the final couple of corners. The banking course named after Penzing Garage Midnight, so it's happening. Just running through the banking now. Minneapolis's banking is the final corner here on the circuit Zandvoort. Nils Hartl able to go to 9th, so 1.7 of pole position. Cam Dolger just getting his lap on the way in the Ferrari, braking for the first corner.
As now Nathan Marriott and Juan Hernandez has just started his lap. Nathan Marriott just coming out of the pits to go for his first run, as we look on board with Cam Dolger out of the Hugenholz bocht, which is the Dutch pronunciation for that one, towards Skyvlak on the right here. Cam currently on a good lap. 4/10 improvement to, I don't know which we're looking at, but I think that is his own lap.
Yeah, so Cam Dolger decent run through here, heading into towards turn.
Oh, big wobble there.
Mistake for Cam Dolger, so the Turkishman having a little bit of a bobble and just sliding across the asphalt. Has to be very good. It's still well up on his time, but
seems to be saving his ERS.
Seconds off the. Was 1.8 seconds off his previous lap. Sorry, 1.8 seconds off his previous lap, which was 4.8 seconds off. So Cam Dolger is going to go again here for Ferrari, one of a few out on the circuit. We'll keep an eye on Juan Hernandez, who's heading through the final corner. Nathan Marriott, of course, who is starting his next run. Here comes Hernandez now, the Spaniard, previous winner of the Dutch Grand Prix. No, that is an awful lap by his standards. 2.7 off the lap set by Legend Rosenberg, the man who he beat to win back in Season 6. The last time, Legend actually lost around this circuit.
Yeah, a little fun fact here is it's not over for Juan Hernandez if he qualifies on P13 here. Last season we saw him do a little comeback race countless of times. This one, of course, being one of them.
Yeah, so a decent run here last time for Juan Hernandez, but the Spaniard would like to get a little bit of torque, a bit of drifting going on here, rather unsuccessfully, but the Spaniard would like to get up near the top of the order eventually. Big thanks, of course, to everyone currently watching. Hope you're enjoying the action so far. The main action in FVR, though, I think now we can agree, Leroy, is definitely the race. Qualifying kind of matters not since we've added the 2 stops.
Yeah, partially correct, as Nathan Marriott is going to P9 here. In some ways I do have to disagree with you, because we see some great performances here in qualifying. Name a few: Matthew Kopp's currently in P5, Sam Fate goes to a P6 after 2 great performances the last 2 times that we went racing. And Yatin Pangaru, of course, adding himself to that list once again, with some good performance here so far, as we have just over 9 minutes to go.
They're all over a second off pole position. So, you know, there's no real battle for pole.
But what's the second when you're looking at P1, that being Legend Rosenberg? Of course, I think the better measurement would be to look at Avastigabadi or possibly even Dylan McClemens, because, well...
Yeah, but the argument of qualifying being more entertaining than the race, I think, is not necessarily one that has a lot of footing, because you can beat Legend in the races. It's going to take something short of a miracle here for Avesta or Dylan to beat him in qualifying. Dylan, however, has improved by just over a 1/10 of a second and now goes to 3rd. Luke Davies could do with a big run to put himself closer to the front row of the grid. Currently on the 2nd row, but almost 7/10 of a second off his old team. Of course, Luke winning all his World Championships in that McLaren, all 3 of them. And he would like to 2 or 3? Has Luke won 2 or 3? He's won 2 championships. Sorry, Luke. I gave you an extra one there on the statistics. He has improved. He's now within the second of Legend Rosenberg, 8/10 of a second off pole position. And you can see Matthew Copps as well. He was marginally down in that middle sector, but still a lot to work with. A good run through the banking, which he has not got, because pulls into the pit lane and he will abandon that one. In terms of our Dutch drivers, Legend currently quickest, but it is his old teammate of last season and of season 11, Tim Den Heijer, who is second in 8th. I suppose it's a little bit of a fight between Tim and Borbune of who can be the best Dutch driver that is still human.
Yes, exactly. As I'm just watching on board with Legend here, he seems to be struggling this lap, 7/10 up on his previous time, which means he's not going to improve this lap. It's a little bit of a disappointing one here for Legend, but of course plenty of time left to go for a third run as he actually gets the yellow flags, but we can just ignore those. Rasagabadi currently improving. He is just under half a tenth down on his previous time as he goes here in sector 2. Whoa, and on the grass there.
Yeah,
that is a lap over for Avesta.
That's a big mistake there, so there'll be no second run for Avesta Gobadi. Just up and across the line is one of the Alpines, I believe. I think that's Nils Hartl. That is Nils Hartl.
That is Nils Hartl.
Who's just gone to 6th, so very nice lap there for the Germans. Splits Copsey and Faith. 2 of the British drivers, of course, Matthew from England and Sam Faith from Wales. So it's like a Six Nations Rugby match out there in the battle for 5th. Excluding the German, of course. But Nils Hartl for Alpine, currently the lead Alpine. It's an interesting teammate battle, Leroy, between Nils and Nathan, because traditionally you would probably give Nathan the favour,
Absolutely.
Nathan as the favourite there. But Nils putting it to him here in Zandvoort.
Yeah, of course, last season we saw that great performance from Nils Hartl in Great Britain, where he qualified just behind his teammate on a P3 here. Seems to be doing well here to go for a P6 at the moment. Of course, Nils still having one more run, perhaps 2, to improve, just like the others do. At the moment, it's a bit like we have a little calm before the storm kind of thing going on, because everyone seems to be in the pits.
Yeah, a lot of cars in the pit lane, and Legend Rosenberg currently top of the order. Legend has been unstoppable as of recent, of course, folks, and you can see in the graphic on your screen now. Season 14 started with 5. He's retired as well. In season 14, started the season with 5 of 5 wins. In season 15 so far, he's got 3 and 2, including the FVR sprint race. So Legend Rosenberg absolutely phenomenal, and now he has just parked it in the pits. He's confident that no one's going to beat his time. It's not the first time he's done this. Will he live to regret it? Well, we'll find out in the next 5 minutes.
So I'm watching on board with Morris Stumer here, just down a little bit on his previous time, going through Skyvlak very quickly there, and now on to the right-hander, and a big spin there for Morris Stumer. That's his lap over.
Yep, you're not going to improve. Well, I mean, if you do improve while having that spin, you've probably done something very wrong on the lap before. So no improvement there for Morris Stumer. Cam Duggar apologising to Nils Hartl for running up his rear earlier on. I believe Cam has got a 5-place grid penalty for that one, I should say. So very disappointing there for Cam. He would currently start at the back. Very disappointing so far, Leroy, for Juan Hernandez. 2.7 seconds off the pace at a circuit that he's won at here in FVR.
Wow, that is quite incredible. As we look with Matthew Copps, can he dethrone Luke Davies here? Yes, he can, because he goes to a 4th place, just about overtaking Luke there. I remember you said qualifying wasn't really exciting. Matthew Copps is giving us that a little bit here.
Yeah, you sound thrilled.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you sound... You can't contain yourself with that one. Nathan Marriott is, well, I think he's, is he on lap? I think he is. The Delta just lying to us. Is he flying past the McLaren there, pulled over to the left-hand side as Dylan McClements is getting ready for his final run of the day. I tell you what, it would make this race really interesting if Avesta or Dylan could find that time, because, well, it might... I'm not going to necessarily say remove Legend's confidence, but it certainly might decrease it by a margin.
Exactly, if one of the two manages to get a pole position at Legends home track, of course, it wouldn't really mean much to him, I think, but he has to overtake one car at least then. And I remember Dylan McClellan saying earlier he did a 1.8.1 in qualifying on the practice that he did for this race. Which means he would go 2/10 under Legends time. But of course, now is the real deal, and now you have to do it.
Let's see what the McLaren can do then. Heading through turn number 1, on brief on the battery button, then it's flat out through here. 5th gear, brake 4, turn number 3. Try keep it as close to that inside line as you can. Short shifting up the gears, 3rd, 4th, 5th, all the way up to 6th for the flat out lefts and rights. He's back dead on that one, so he's going to have to go again. Dylan not happy with how that first sector has gone, and enough is enough, he says. No point burning too much of the tyre. He can have another run. So interesting. Didn't seem too bad through turn number 1 and 2, but he clearly wasn't happy with it.
Yeah, maybe he's just sparing us the excitement here. As we, I was just about to switch to the other McLaren driver. He's backed off as well. So does Nathan Marriott. I think we're just gonna watch the last 2 minutes of many crazy things happening here. Niels Hardel not on a lap either.
No.
Maybe Juan Hernandez is on a lap.
He is indeed.
It looks like he's starting his lap.
Seems to be heading in towards turn number 3 of Hugenholz-Bocht, and then in towards 4, 5 and 6 all the way down to Schuyfleck. And Juan Hernandez, it'll be interesting to see his first sector split, because definitely off the pace by quite a substantial margin so far. Yeah, much better, 5/10 of an improvement. That's a little bit more like it. And I imagine there was a mistake somewhere in the middle sector as well on that lap, so might be able to find another 5/10 and get within contention. In towards turn number 9, and then in towards turn number 10 goes Juan Hernandez. We need to keep an eye on Avestegobadi as well, who is he's not quite getting ready to start his lap, way actually behind, so he's going to leave it as late as possible. In towards the chicane comes Hernandez, yet 8/10 up, or almost 8/10 up. This is a lot better.
Absolutely. Adrian Tisci also starting his lap, not the start that he wanted to this season. At the moment he's in P13, so it looks to be another disappointing result that will be added on. But of course we have a race of 36 laps, which could go many ways, including for Adrian Tisci here, as he just comes around turn 10 there, onto the DRS straight, the second one of this circuit. He's just up on his previous time. Oh, breaks it a little bit late there and invalidates his lap.
Yeah, in the battle for pole position, Dylan McClements is currently on his second attempt at this one. Was improving in the first sector. Will be very interesting to see the second sector split here. Yes, he's found a 1/10 of a second. If there's anything in this sector that can be produced, it needs to be produced now. Might be good enough to beat Avestegobadi as it stands. We are waiting on Avestegobadi's first sector. Let's have a look here. He's found time as well. So Rosenberg might be getting a little bit nervy in the Aston Martin garage. Flying for the final corner comes McClements, and up and across the start-finish line. No, loses it all in the final sector of the circuit. Utterly disappointing for the McLaren, because it was looking like a front row of the grid might be on the cards here. It's all down to the Ukrainian of Avestegobadi. Unless Matthew Copsey or Luke Davies can pull something out of the bag, we will wait and see. Avesta, personal or best of anyone in the middle sector, but still quite a margin off Legend Rosenberg. Needs quite a lot of straight line speed through the banking and down the straight if he wants to take pole position. Luke Davies improves to 4th. Here comes Avestegobadi, burning all of the battery. No slipstream in front. Is it going to be enough to steal pole position off Legend? He's given it a real good go, but the Dutchman will remain on pole for his home Grand Prix.
Wow. Real excitement. No, Matthew Cops just went horizontally across the main straight there. We didn't see that on the screen, but he was on for a really good time there. More than 2/10 down. I believe he would have got Luke in the end there, but well.
Very disappointing. Dylan McClellan still actually pushing here. He's not going to be able to get the time in, or certainly not at the tyres of the battery to do so. It still pushes it across the line as the McLaren. So it is going to be Legend Rosenberg on pole position. A couple of decent performances there, Leroy. No real shocks though, so all the front runners are still near the top of this one.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, there's your running order, and of course Cam Dogger with that 5 position penalty, he will start at the back.
Yeah, let's run you through the order then. It's going to be Legend Rosenberg on pole, Vesta Gobadi second. Then it is Dylan McClemens, Luke Davies, Matthew Copsey, Sam Fate, Niels Hartl, Tim Denhire, Morris Stewart, then Nathan Marriott, Yaffa Penguru, Bor Bune, Can Duggar, Juan Hernandez, Adrian Tishy, and Bas van Zeep at the back of the order. Remember, Can will start from the back because he does have that 5-place grid penalty. Leroy, this Dutch Grand Prix circuit, it's not necessarily known for its overtaking, but there is some zones where drivers could get a move done.
Absolutely. I would say there's about 3 overtaking zones here, as looks to be dry here for the start of this race. Maybe we could get some rain later on. It looks like it's a little bit grey up in the sky. But coming back to those overtaking spots, of course, the 2 DRS straights at the end of that turn, there's a good chance where you can get a spot taken there. The other one being one where you can really dive bomb the other person, that being after the Skyvlak. Those are your 3 overtaking spots for this race.
Yes, of course, it is just under a 4.3 kilometre circuit. 215 metres for Legend Rosenberg to defend in towards the first corner. The first ever race here at Zandvoort in Formula 1 was won by Thai Prince Bira. We've no royalty or pay drivers on the grid, as much as we might treat some drivers like royalty, and as much as you might think some drivers are pay drivers. There is none here, but it is Legend Rosenberg who is on pole position, folks. A big thanks for tuning in so far. If you are doing so, please remember to pop a subscription on our YouTube channel. It is quite overcast here at the Dutch seaside, but the 5 red lights are on in Zandvoort, and we go racing in the Netherlands. Great race start for Adrian Tishy near the back already, gaining places. Decent start for Gobadi, almost trying it down in towards turn number 1, not able to make the move, and he will have to file in behind Legend Rosenberg, heading up the hill in towards turn number 3, side by side, Denhire and Niels Hartl, and Tim Denhire is going to try around the outside. There's contact made. Sam Fate has been clipped by the Alpine of Niels Hartl, and Tim Denhire is able to get ahead. Morris Stumer and Niels Hartl, the 2 Germans, the 2 friends, scrapping up the hill. Argy, Bargy and Stumer will be able to get ahead.
Amazing start for Adrian Tishy, just like you said. He's up 4 places. Disappointing start once again for Juan Hernandez. He had a little bit of a good qualifying as he just slips around a little bit there.
Oh, sorry, that's Juan Hernandez who was off. That is a disappointing start for Juan Hernandez to this Dutch Grand Prix. Your biggest gainer is Bas. He's up 3 positions to 12th, and it is pretty split strategy here. Remember, of course, folks, 2 stops required in these races for these drivers. So Legend Rosenberg all the way down to Matthew Copsey opting for the softs, and then Sam Fate, Morris Stumer, Nathan Marriott all the way down to Bor Bune, and Juan Hernandez opting for the medium compounded tyres. It is quite overcast here though. Vesta's kept with the race leader though, so Legend not going to be able to drive into the sunset just yet. It is looking like there could potentially be some rain on the horizon.
Absolutely. There's immediately a little bit of a gap here between P12 and P11. There's no DRS for those guys because they're already 1.6 seconds down. We were just talking about Adrian Tishy's great start. He started from P14. He's currently in P14, side by side with his teammate Bas van Zijp. Seems to be all going well here, but Adrian has lost his great start immediately in lap 1. When we look at the strategy, Legend Rosenberg dropping to P3.
Oh, problems for Rosenberg. So there is a bit of a mistake there, and now he's very squabbly. Heading through turn number 10, Dylan McClemens able to make the move, and now Luke Davies might be sniffing a chance at Rosenberg. I don't think Davies has had the opportunity to overtake Rosenberg since their title battle in season 11. But Luke Davies is right on the tail. It's looking like the rain is imminent. Just going by the Formula 1 game, it usually starts raining when the track and the sky looks like this, so I wouldn't be too shocked to see a little bit of a downpour very, very soon. Remember, of course, folks, that will eliminate the 2-stop. We go back to a 1-stop race. It could be a no-stop, but obviously they will pit for wets at some point if it does rain. Still, McClemens leads here in FVR. Missed out on what he feels like a big opportunity last week in Catalonia. The McLarenman is driving very well here in the Netherlands.
Yes, and of course this is a very important phase of the race for Sam Fate. Currently on the mediums, he needs to keep with that train in front to make them work. If he loses the DRS, just like Tim Denhire has now, which means he lost the track to the 5 at the front, that means the race and the contention for the podium is over early for Sam Fate if he wants to claim it on pace.
Yes, you got to keep here in the DRS, at least while we still have it. As a little dip into the gravel for Avestegobadi. So I tell you what, most comfortable out of the top three in the first three laps, still McClements by far. We've seen a couple of little errors from Legend Rosenberg and Avestegobadi, but the young man in the lead of this Grand Prix is certainly not feeling those issues, or those issues are not being reciprocated. Here comes Avestegobadi going for the race lead in that slipstream. Doesn't even need the ERS, simply DRS and slipstream is enough to swap round, and the Red Bull now leads here in Zandvoort. Real squabble between Den Heijer and Niels Hartel. Tim Den Heijer did seem to be holding up the pack a little bit, because we have seen Sam Faith dispatch him, and we've now seen Niels Hartel dispatch Den Heijer. So struggles early on for the second Red Bull.
Last season we saw the Alpines challenging for that race victory with two cars that were Callum Birch and Dylan McClements. At the moment they're sitting in P7 and P10, of course, all to play for. Looks like they're going quite well here, as Niels Hartel is of course battling with Tim Den Heijer, and Nathan Marriott is just doing his thing.
Yeah, Nathan Marriott doing his thing down in 10th position. Good race last night for Nathan Marriott in the FVR GT Championship. Remember, of course, if you want to join that, you absolutely can. Reserve entries always open. You can watch those races, then they're live streamed on a Sunday, or usually on a Sunday, sometimes on a Friday, but you can watch them with commentary from Nathan on a Sunday. Here comes Dylan McClements, going to go for the race lead once again. It's another swap, and that is a third swap for the race lead in 5 laps. Niels Hartel able to get past Sam Fate now. Niels Hartel, I know you said he was up there last season, Tim, but really having a solid drive so far.
Absolutely.
I think I just called you Tim as well.
Actually, yeah.
Sorry,
I don't want to.
Sorry, Leroy. How dare I insult you?
I wasn't about to mention it.
How dare I?
Fair enough. Niels Hartel is having it at the moment. He is he's pushed by the guys behind, but he seems to have a great pace here and a good amount of ERS as well left for this phase of the race. He's lost DRS to the guy in front, that being Matthew Cobbs, who's also lost DRS to the front 4 here. Can he get back into it? He's only 1/10 down on this DRS gap. That is 1 second.
Sun slowly starting to break through the clouds. It's looking like an Irish summer here in Zandvoort today, of course, folks. But it is still sketchy out on circuit. Doesn't seem to be the highest track temperature in the world, which is not the worst thing. These drivers won't be burning their tyres out too much. But it is a 2-stopper now in FVR, folks, of course, as required by the rules and regulations. So tyre wear not necessarily the biggest bullet point on the agenda. Niels Hartel losing that spot now to Sam Faith. But all this squabbling is not helping them, because Matthew Copsey's got up the road, and he is not necessarily with the front 4, but is very much comfortable. And these guys are losing time every single lap. Only the one pitter so far, Bass, has come in, and he is on the hard compounded tyres. I do hope he knows it's a 2-stop, because it doesn't indicate to me that he does if he's pitting this early for hards in Zandvoort.
Yes, but perhaps that would mean we would get no rain. Of course, we can't see the radar. They can't see the radar in some kind of way. I think it's not always perfect, but if he pits onto the hards right now and we would have rain 2 laps later, that of course is quite a dumb decision from Bas van Zijp. But this seems to be quite a conservative way of continuing his race down in P16, 28.5 seconds down to Juan Hernandez, who is struggling as well, 5 seconds down. Looks like Bas van Zijp will just trust on his pace at the moment and see where things end.
Yeah, good to have trust in your pace. As Matthew Copsey very early into the pit lane. He's now gone for the medium compound of tyres, so that is the first of his 2 stops served for the Aston Martin. If a safety car came out now, might be in a good position to go for a set of hards to the end. So covering all bases, it seems, is the Aston Martin. Potentially a little bit early, but still a decent decision nonetheless. The top 3 are certainly not separating. Top 4, as Luke Davies is with them for now, but sort of struggling with the pace of the front 3. Was fine for the first 6 laps, but here on the 7th, Luke is starting to fall off a little bit. Has used up a lot of battery compared to the top 3, who are in very healthy battery management phases.
Yeah, it's a very similar story last week. We saw Luke Davies, of course, being in this position as well, trying to keep hold on that front train, and just couldn't manage. So, of course, he got quite a bit of luck there with the late safety car that meant that he would finish in P3 in the end. So we see.
That was very close between Avesta and Legend. They both moved out at the same time to go for the same move. Avesta Gobadi's able to take the race lead. Dylan goes from first to third in the space of turn number 1. Rosenberg now in the middle of those two. And it's all getting very close up the hill here. This is great racing so far, as that is Bas van Zijp, I should say, out of the race. He's crashed, heading through turn number 9. No signs of the safety car coming out just yet, but that's one of the two RBs who is out of this Grand Prix.
That's a real shame. Of course, he just went for that hard tire. As we were saying, he would trust on his race pace to get back into that race. It seems that he won't get back into the race as he just crashed.
Yep, that's an Alan Partridge, or an accidental Alan Partridge quote if I've ever heard of. Said Legend Rosenberg is trying it out. Actually, Leroy, you probably have no idea who Alan Partridge is, do you?
I have actually no idea.
No, you don't. Yeah, you wouldn't have a clue. It's practically a miracle that I know who he is. But Legend Rosenberg not able to make the move on Avesta. Seemed like he was going to go for it down in towards the turn 11 chicane, but him backing out has caused him to lose a little bit of time. Not too much though, because you get this monster slipstream down the main straight. Legend stays behind for the time being, so although you don't really have to save much in these races anymore, Legend still opting to do so, as Timden Hire was able to get past Sam Faith.
Yeah, it looks like the championship, the Constructors' Championship is on. At the moment, it's only Matthew Kops who's outside of the top 10 in terms of the top 4 in the Constructors' Championship. If we exclude Haas here, because we expect Avesta Gobadi and Timden Hire to overtake them later on if Callum Birch, of course, does not do many magical things in the upcoming few races. Looks like it's a real battle on here in for the Constructors' Championship. 4 different constructors on the first 4 spots, and 3 different constructors for 5, 6 and 7.
Interesting. Is that an argument for the FVR draft working then, Tim? I've called you Tim again. Why do I keep doing this? It's because I'm looking at Tim the Tire on the screen and I'm reading his name. I'm sorry, Leroy. At least I've corrected myself twice.
Perhaps I should name myself Tim. No, I think this is a good sign of the constructors, or sorry, the draft working. I did expect Cam Dover and Liam Houseman to be a little bit further up, but Liam Houseman is not here, and Cam Dover seems to be struggling.
At the end of the day.
Cam Dover really struggling. He's in P15, of course, alongside myself for the FVR podcast, which we released another episode for. What do I say? Last Wednesday. Yes. That's what I wanted to say. Make sure to watch that. But looks like Cam Dover is currently really struggling, and I think I can know.
Well, he has pitched.
Can predict.
He has come into the pits.
Oh yeah.
So still something in the race for Cam Dover. You're of course in 6th as well, Leroy, according to me, out on circuit, because I keep calling you Tim Denier. So Leroy Mitchell going for the move on Sam Faith. No, Tim Denier going for the move on Sam Faith. Surprised we haven't seen any of the front 4 dive for the pit lane yet. Try and undercut. Might see someone on this lap. It seemed like they were considering it on the last trip around. But 2-stop brings in a very interesting game here. Very split strategies. Arguably Cala has there we go. First one in. Avesta Gobadi does go for the undercut. As we saw in Las Vegas, of course, Leroy, it was the second stint really that decided the race.
Yeah, and Legend, of course, pitting very, very, very late. Almost us thinking that he would have forgot about the new strategy thing that was introduced, that being the 2 mandatory pit stop strategy option that we introduced to Formula Virtual Racing. But no, it was Legend Rosenberg who claimed that race win after he pit in the last lap, I believe.
That's a brilliant pit stop by Avesta, because he's got out in clean air. He has 5.4 seconds of clean air in front of him and no one behind him to bother him. That's a very, very smart call by the Red Bull driver. Nathan Marriott is that car 5.4 seconds in front, and he's hounding Morris Stumer.
Absolutely, yes. There's just been a little bit of a gap created between 2 and 3 there. That is Luke Davies now out of DRS contention here. It looks like P1 and 2 have plenty of ERS. And Luke Davies is struggling with the DRS as we have someone crashing. That is Adrian Tishy, but he looks to be going again, so...
I saw the blue and was very panicked for Vestigobadi's car. But he is okay. It was Adrian Tishy, who we obviously don't want to spin either, spun round. Still seems to be doing okay though, not sure there's much damage. Well, there's quite a bit of gravel on the car now as he's just taking a little trip to the beach through turn number 11. Luke Davies and Tim Den Heyer now into the pit lane, opting for a set of the mediums, same decision as Avesta Gobadi. Avesta well in front of Luke. Remember, they were all in the same DRS train. 2.8 seconds, 2.9 seconds, almost 3, now over 3. So, look, that's that even more
that
puts
indicates
faith in
that
Avesta's strategy call.
That indicates that the undercut does indeed work. Last week we saw the overcut working. We saw Dylan McClemens going into the pits later and then coming out in front of the guys that he was battling with. This time it looks like the undercut is working, as in one lap he has gained 3 seconds on Luke Davies.
Yeah, Luke will be fairly confident in his own undercut because, yes, he's not kept with Legend, or sorry, Avesta, but he has pit still before these two, Legend and Dylan, and they're going to be slow into the pit lane, or certainly Dylan will be because he's had to brake and react to Legend Rosenberg. It's going to be the mediums for both of them, so we're going to see same strategies across the board. Where are they going to come out in relation to Avesta Gobadi? Sam Faith carries on and will lead the Dutch Grand Prix here in the second McLaren. Where is Avesta Gobadi? Here he is, coming through turn number 1. Rosenberg and McClemens there. You can see them on pit exit. It's a shorter run through the pit lane, but Gobadi has enough, and Avesta Gobadi has dropped Legend Rosenberg out of the DRS. Incredible strategy play from the Red Bull. It is very close though, so he's got to get the hammer down to make it comfortable.
Yeah, and well, didn't really pay off for Luke Davies. He gained a little bit, but he is now 2.4 seconds down to Dylan McClemens. So somehow it managed to work for Avesta. It didn't manage to work for Luke.
Yeah, weird that it's not paid off so much for Luke compared to how much it's paid off for Avesta. I definitely thought Luke would have been within the DRS at least of Dylan McClemens, but he's way behind, further behind than even before he pit.
Has he perhaps made a mistake? That is, of course, well, possible. There's someone in the wall, that
Juan
Hernandez, and it looks to be going from bad to worse here for Juan.
Yeah, the one-time winner of this Dutch Grand Prix back in Season 6 has had an awful evening by any stretch of the imagination so far. Nathan Marriott into the pit lane. Avesta Gobadi starting to cut into some of the longer medium tyre runners, and gets past Morris Stumer for 4th while setting the fastest lap in the meantime. So this is going very well if your name is Avesta Gobadi.
Interesting strategy call here from Nathan. Going to the softs, of course, we have another pit stop coming on later, but very interesting to go for the soft tire here. No one has gone to the hard, apart from Bas van Zijp, but he is, of course, out of the race. Will we see the hard tire later on? That is, of course, the question.
I'm not sure we will.
As that is Juan Hernandez out of the race.
Yes, that is Juan Hernandez, who is out of the Dutch Grand Prix. Our second retirement, as Yafin Penguru has been overtaken by the Red Bull of Avesta Gobadi. So Avesta now up to second position. Dylan McClemens has got past Morris Stumer. There is still a car between Legend Rosenberg and Avesta Gobadi, but bit of a mistake from Legend. I was going to say it's probably certain that he'll get past Yafin on this start-finish straight, but I'm not so sure now because he has made that mistake.
He might have to look behind.
Yeah, he's going to have to keep his eyes peeled here for Dylan McClemens to Yafin into the pit lane. So Legend won't get the monster run either, but Dylan also won't get past Legend. So any sort of conversational point we had out of that Legend Rosen mistake has just evaporated.
As currently in P1 is Sam Fate, of course, having to pit still twice. It looks to be going well for the McLarens. Tim Den Heyer slowly but surely gaining some positions here as the others are going into the pits. Looks like Niels Hartl and Matthew Cobbs have settled in for their positions as well.
Yes, they have. They are settling in that sort of groove, and very interesting now to see those who are going to go medium soft. So that is Nathan Marriott, Yafin Penguru, Adrian Tishy and Morris Stumer. They're all going to, or well, Adrian will have to pit for the mediums.
Adrian is on the 14 level
he's currently on the softs. So the other three are going to be going on 2 sets of soft compound tyres from now to the end of the race. So it'll be interesting to see what they have to do. That's the second Mercedes off at turn number 9, and that's Morris Stumer this time round. So not a good corner there for the German team.
Yeah, Morris really going well there. He was in that train for P4 when the others didn't pit yet, or just pit. Now he's currently down in P13, of course, on the new tires, but taking some gravel there obviously isn't the best thing to do, and that is a real shame for Morris Stumer.
Escobar's advantage is gone. Legend Rosenberg right on his tail, practically breathing in the brake dust of Escobar in front. Avesta will have a bit of DRS or a bit of slipstream of Dylan McClelland's teammate Sam Fade. As look at this Legend! Almost hitting the Red Bull. Almost seemed like a brake check at some point. It's getting very overcast once again here in Zandvoort, and that's a mistake from Avesta. And Legend Rosenberg is going to have the opportunity to try and get past the Ukrainian in towards turn number 11. This is risky territory, but the 6-time champ has got it done. Incredible move on the Red Bull, and Avesta was looking like the favourite here in this race, but look at this. Dylan's teammate is doing him an absolute worldie, and Legend is being pushed right behind in towards Avesta Gobadi and Dylan McClemens. There could be free wide come the end of this straight. Sam Fate peels into the pits like a safety car, and he lets these greyhounds at it down towards turn number 1. Rosenberg on the outside has to be careful not to chop off the front of Avesta Gobadi. He gets the position.
Wow, this promises to be a real good one for the rest here. I was really shocked there for Sam Fate, almost ending 3 people's race there, but looks like it all went well and they're still going. That is Dylan McClelland very close to Avesta Gobadi there, but it looks like they're all clean now and they will just continue on until the next fight will come. It's a matter of who will, when and where, and how will that decide the rest of this race.
Yes, this is getting very tasty amongst the front 3. Legend is trying to use all his pace and all his power and consistency to run away at the front of this one, but I'm not sure he'll be granted that opportunity by Escobar and Dylan McClemens behind. Sam Faith in 9th position, getting past Nathan Marriott. Slow again through turn number 13 for Avesta Gobadi. Dylan McClemens not going to be able to have the run on the Red Bull. And yet, look, the slipstream in DRS is keeping these guys all within one another. Personally, not complaining. This is quite entertaining.
It is quite entertaining. It is not quite entertaining if you're Luke Davies. He sees the others disappearing on the horizon each lap. And he's currently 5 seconds down to Dylan McClemens. That once again proves why you need to stay within DRS. And Luke Davies hasn't managed that, and he will drop down further.
Yeah, Luke, having a steady drive, mind you. If something goes wrong with one of these 3 at the front, he's on the podium. So
definitely,
it's not bad points for Luke Davies, and he's just trying to take the consistent approach this season. I think he's well aware that outright pace mightn't necessarily be his strongest attribute this season, so he's just trying to pick up points wherever he can. And Williams as a whole doing a good job. One of few teams, as you mentioned earlier, scoring double points as it stands.
Absolutely, that is
actually there is quite a few teams scoring double points. Every team in the top 10 is currently scoring double points.
Once again, proves why the draft is working very well here then.
Or it doesn't, because we've 5 dominant teams. Oh well, we'll ignore it for now. I have to say though, the teammate battles this season are actually quite interesting, because usually you get one very dominant driver and then another who's not so dominant, but when you get battles the likes of maybe Nils Hartl, Nathan Marriott, it's quite close actually, and it's much of a muchness between the two. Sam Faith, fastest lap of the Grand Prix, first man in the 110s on race pace. Another driver
absolutely
who is having a phenomenal race here in Zandvoort. Legend is definitely trying to pull away now.
Absolutely, yeah. We see Borbune coming to a stop there in the Tarzan board. He's struggling to get back onto the power. Doesn't seem to have any damage, I think. But that was a real shock there for Borbune, I'm sure. And it's actually very close here for battle for P6. Luke Davies being a little bit in no man's land here. He is, oh, actually, he's now 1 second behind Matthew Hobbs, who has just made a mistake then.
Legend has gotten very close to dumping Avesta Gobadi out of DRS as well. Avesta will save himself a little bit with this slipstream in DRS run. Dylan McClements as well behind is sensing that Avesta might be hampering his progress a little bit in this Dutch Grand Prix, and he might think that he's quicker at this stage in the race. So a lot of interesting debates at this point. Matthew Copsey is battling now with Luke Davies. So Luke has a fight in his hands for that first spot. Matthew, despite being on the oldest tyres in the field as it stands, is really pushing it.
Oh, and that was almost his ending there for Niels Hartel and Sam Fate on the Hugenholzbocht. They collided on the inside there, but no damage, it looks like. That was a really close one for those two.
Very close indeed, and it is McLaren fighting with Red Bull and Aston Martin at the front, but it is McLaren fighting with the two Alpines for 7th position.
It's almost like we're looking at two different leagues here, but both of them having their own pace.
Yeah, at times FVR can feel like that. It's usually the Legend League and then everyone else, but it's quite different here tonight. Down the inside, Sam Fate, job done. Very nice move. Gets the next curb as well. Might have been slightly slower through that part of the corner, but gets the job done. Dylan McClements ahead of Avesta Gobadi, so he said he was considering the overtake. He's no longer considering it. He's got the job done.
And now he can, of course, look to P1. What is, of course, the ideal situation here? Mostly it's usually it's being in P2 on the last lap, but now we have a three-way battle for P1, and I don't think there's any ideal position here other than coming across the line in first place on the last lap, which is quite obvious, of course, but.
Yes, it's we have one more pit stop, of course, as well, folks. It's a double stop you got to do here in FVR, and we've had no rain, meaning as far as these guys are aware, they've got to still do that. So it'll be a set of softs to the end. I think we saw Adrian Tishy go 14 laps on the softs, Leroy. So we are almost getting to the point where these guys will be considering their final pit stop of the day. Slow there through or into the Arie Lundijk box for Legend Rosenberg. It's going to be Dylan McClements in the McLaren, who's going to return to the race lead for the first time in over 10 laps.
Yeah, coming back to the strategy, as we see Morris Schumer once again on the grass. That's not where you want to be, Morris. Just keep it on track. He actually does have damage. His front left wing and plate is off his car at the moment, so that means he will be next to come into the pits unless he feels it's better like this, but I reckon you want to have your car in one piece.
Yes, it's not the worst thing to have coming towards the end of a motor race, is a fully built car. Although I'm sure there's been a few Le Mans winners from time to time who haven't had nearly fully built cars and did win the race. Gaff Penguru right in the tail of Stam Fate. Fate versus Penguru, it's not a fight you might turn on an FVR broadcast for, but it's certainly one that you will continue watching for.
It looks to be very exciting. In terms of ERS, it looks like Janten has the upper hand here, having double the amount of Sam Fate. Ethan has dropped off a little bit, 2 seconds behind now for that battle, and it looks like Tim Harris came to a hold as well a little bit. He was flying earlier on. I believe he was in P6. He's currently in P10. So
that is a yellow flag for
someone round again.
Oh, it's Adrian.
It's another blue car, but it's Adrian.
I thought it was one of the Red Bulls, and I was going to say both of them are in quite interesting battles in this race, but it is Adrian Tishy in the Racing Bulls that has gone round. Disappointing for Adrian, but still in the race. So of course we could get a late safety car like we got in Catalonia, and everything changes. So you got to just keep driving here, and I hope something falls on your lap eventually. Lap 23 of 36. Thanks for tuning in, folks. If you're still with us, it is Legend Rosenberg who leads, ahead of Dylan McClements in second and Avesta Gobadi in third. Still really no indication of which way this one could go.
Absolutely, we still have 13 laps left, excluding this one. So including this one, it will be 14. But we're almost at the end of this one, as there's quite a big gap to P3 to P4 actually. From P3 to P4, the top three really creating their own race here, as that is Dylan McClements once again going for a swap with Legend. There's Avesta Gobadi. Will he go for it on the inside? No, he won't.
He won't,
And it
but they're
looks like-
still side
oh.
by side at the apex, and this is getting real close between the two. Who's going to be more committed? Rosenberg will. Smart choice by the McLaren to not risk his front wing there. He is giving Legend a right old contest here at his home Grand Prix. Matthew Copsey, 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Is McLemon's going to go for it
Ouch.
towards the sky flag? No, he's got to stay behind here, surely. Yes, he does. Another smart approach. Dylan, very smart racer, as we all know by now here in FVR. He's not going to put his car into a risky situation.
Looked like one of those standard swaps there in to turn 1, but Legend didn't want to have anything of it. Said, nope, I'm gonna close that door, you're not gonna overtake me here. And that is exactly what happened, and they actually made contact, but it looked like they can still go and are not in the situation that Morris was in earlier, having a little bit of damage.
Yep, if you pick up damage now, that's going to be curtains pretty much for your race. At maybe more straight line speed sort of circuits like Las Vegas, you might be able to get away with it, but here at Zandvoort you need a lot of grip through the corners. Dylan
There we go again.
It's going to go for the race lead once again, and there's no challenger behind in the Red Bull. Rosenberg just able to break really late and run this outside line. It's called local knowledge, methinks, because that is twice now Rosenberg's been able to break a lot later than you would think and hang it round the outside. Dylan full tank of battery, Legend full tank of battery. Vescovadi not really. I think that might be why he's dropped off a little bit in the last couple of laps, is that he's trying to save that and get into a similar position. Remember, all these guys still have to pit in this race. We saw how powerful the undercut was earlier for Vescovadi. They are waiting on something here. I'm not sure whether it's rain, whether it's a safety car, but they are all definitely waiting for something to arise.
Yep, as we just see Timden Heyer coming out of the pits here for his last pit stop. He will have 12 laps on his name at the end of this one. On this soft tire. That's an interesting choice from Tim. We of course saw Adrian doing 14 laps on the softs, but looking at Nathan and Yatin at the moment, they're almost at that point where you want to go into the pits once again.
Here we go. It's going to be a third time the charm for the McLaren, and the Red Bull's going to go for it as well. Gobani down the inside, free abreast, in towards Tarzan Bocht. Unbelievable. How has Rosenberg remained in front? That is nothing short of a miracle. McClements looks like he had the move done. Rosenberg tried to risk it down the inside of them both, and they all remain as they were. Incredible fighting so far here in this Dutch Grand Prix.
Looks like the excitement is finally coming together here then.
I told you the races were better than qualifying.
Absolutely. This is now just 10 laps to go, and we still don't know who's gonna win this one. That's actually how you want it in a race like this. You want to have the race decided at the end, at least in our position. If it was for any of these three, they would have wanted it to be decided right now. But that's not the case, and they will all have to fight for it towards the last finish line, that being on the lap 36.
The last time we were in a situation like this, it did come down to the very last lap, and that was back in Season 10 when Davison took the race win in the AlphaTauri. Here comes Dylan McClements going for the race lead once again. Is fourth time going to be the charm then for the McLaren? Rosenberg is, oh, contact! Gomani's gone for the outside! Side pod to side pod go the Aston Martin and the Red Bull, and that time the contact is a lot more visible. No damage, I don't think, for either of them, although Gobani, not much rotation there. I think he is okay. McClements is able to take the race lead, had the better line this time round, but this is really, really getting close to disastrous for these three. A wipeout collision between them all would be very much unexpected, but we're almost getting to that point with some of these three wide moments.
Absolutely, and someone who would be enjoying that very much would of course be Luke Davies. He was on 5 seconds down earlier. He's currently on 18 seconds down, but it doesn't really matter. He has pretty much the whole track in front and behind of him to himself at the moment, and he's just gonna wait for stuff to happen, because surely stuff will happen.
Yes, and remember, these guys all have to come into the pit lane. Dylan McClements leading Legend Rosenberg, leading Avesta Gobadi at 27 out of 36, and they're in. They're in. They've all come in on the same lap. No one risking the undercut this time round, because we saw how powerful that was for Avesta Gobadi. Who's quickest onto their marks? changing the tyres and off their marks. It should really be the same order as they came in, but you know what the Formula 1 game is like. It is the same order they came in. The Formula 1 game hasn't screwed anyone over this time round. McClemens will be able to put his foot down once again as Luke Davies 10 seconds for speeding in the pit lane. That could be very costly indeed.
That could reward Sam Fate for his great race so far. He's currently in P5, but of course with that penalty from Luke Davies, that will be P4. But we have Matthew Cobbs currently in P4. I believe he has 10 seconds as well from that pit lane speeding stuff. Oh, and that is Niels Hartel.
That could be points gone for the Alpine because he was on the undercut, came into the pit lane. Might still be able to get ahead of Boer Bune, but was on for a great result tonight was Nils, and that might be very costly. Hopefully for his sake he is still going to get some good points because has driven very well up until that point, but it is a mistake through turn number 13 and 14 for Niels Hartel. Track must be slippy there because it's a weird corner to have a spin at in the dry.
Absolutely, and there's indeed no rain, so it's quite a weird one there for Niels. He has a penalty as well, that is luckily only 3 seconds. But
as Dylan,
it's quite disappointing for Niels.
Dylan put the foot down on the last lap. Didn't get out of 1 second, but used a little bit of battery. Legend had to use a lot more to keep up with him. They're both still in a comfortable position now because they've reached the top once again, but a little bit of psychological warfare from Dylan McClemens, just telling Legend, look, this race could be over if I wanted it to be. There's a little bit of mind games going on here. I'm not sure what position you want to be in on the last lap at this point, because usually we'd say you want to be in second and getting a run down towards turn number 1, but we saw Legend's defensive efforts lap after lap after lap. It took 4, almost 5 attempts for Dylan to get the job done.
Oh, and that is Niels Hartel out of the race there as he retired in the pits. Someone who is really struggling at the moment seems to be Avesta Gabati. He is quite low on ERS. He was just under 10% earlier. He seems to be back a little bit now, but he needs to keep within that DRS. If he loses that, then he would see the same fate as Luke Davies and Matthew Cobbs did.
He'll see the same fate. You get it, it's funny because he's also a driver. Sorry. It's been a while since I've said a really bad joke on one of these broadcasts. I think I used to just say them half the time to torment Brendan, but yeah, it's been a while. I suppose that was one of the worst ones. Actually, one of the worst moments I've had is probably calling New Timden higher twice. That was quite bad. But that was in the past, such as 15 laps ago. Lap 30 out of 36, and it is Legend Rosenberg chasing down Dylan McClemens to win at his home circuit once again. A win tonight in the Netherlands for Legend would be the 4th time he's won in his own backyards. Oh! 10-second penalty for Dylan McClemens and Legend Rosenberg for ignoring yellow flags. I can tell you here and now, folks, those will probably be removed. So that's not going to be a mitigating factor.
Surely those will be removed.
They have to be. Sure, it was someone letting them through, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think it was indeed someone letting them through,
those,
or someone
will be removed. So
spinning in front of them, but they got a penalty. But yeah,
Avesta hasn't just automatically won this race. You can ignore the penalties for Dylan and Legend because they are the definition of unfair, and they will most certainly be removed. Even Avesta, I think, will know that they will be removed because they didn't do anything wrong. It's just this terrible piece of software, unfortunately.
Something that won't be removed is the 10-second penalty of Luke Davies.
No, that one
looks
is
like
legitimate.
Yatin will beat him on this one, actually.
Would I be right in saying Matthew Copsey has a 10-second penalty as well? He does. So that could also, that's going to give Yatin is on for 4th here in this race.
Yep, but he won't get it for free as he has a few guys behind him who could stop him from doing that. Timden Hire still being in that battle for 4th then.
Yeah, Luke and Matthew are actually in a spot of bother here. Those 2 penalties are going to dump them down to 9th. Not a great result for either of those 2. Certainly Luke, who is of course a main driver for this season and is racing for constructors and drivers points. In the battle for the race lead though, you will see the penalty flag beside Dylan and Legend's name. Just ignore it, folks. Very much unfair penalties that will likely to be removed by the race stewards. Here comes the Red Bull of Avesta Gabati. He's boxed in, not going to be able to get round the outside of Rosenberg or down the inside of Dylan McClemens. just has to settle for what he has.
Yeah, but we have just under 5 laps left before this race comes to an end. But we're not out of excitement here, as we still have plenty of battles on the track here. The battle for P4 is of course still going on as well, but we will be looking with these 3 for the last 4 times that they come across the main straight.
Let's wait and see how this one plays out. It's been a real nail-biter here in Zandvoort between Dylan McClements, Legend Rosenberg and Avesta Gobadi. And they've all had their moments in this race where they look like the strongest driver. Can't really tell who it is. Going on to lap number 33, Dylan, his confidence will be gaining and gaining and gaining every time he crosses, or gets through turn number 1, I should say, in the race lead. Legend on the battery button for the first time in a long time. He's under a lot of pressure from the Ukrainian behind. Avesta knows that he's got 2 moves to make, so he's got to start making one now. Going to try down the inside potentially of them both. There's a late move from the Aston. They're free abreast at the apex once again. McClements has given the shove all the way out to the outside. Across the orange sausage curb he goes. To 3rd position he goes. They've all swapped round. Gobadi now in the race lead. This is incredible.
Absolutely no words for that. Once again, 3 wide. How many times will we see that happening until we've finished this race? I'm sure there's going to be a big battle coming up. Avesta Gobadi seems to be a little bit down on ERS. He was much down earlier, but he seems to have recovered a little bit of that. Can he recover plenty enough before this one final attempt comes from the 2 behind him?
Yes, let's wait and see. I think Legend might be... Oh, I thought he was going for the move in towards turn number 11. We're heading on to lap 34 or 36. 3 laps to go. 3 potential race-winning moves to be made here in Formula Virtual Racing at the Season 15 Dutch Grand Prix. If you're just joining us, you're joining at the absolutely perfect time. Here comes Legend Rosenberg for the race lead once again. We know 3rd to 1st is definitely possible if you're brave enough at the first corner. No one going for it for the time being. You might see them go for it on the next lap because they don't want to wait until the last lap, especially if you are Dylan McClements.
I think, of course, the ideal position is here to be in P2 and have a little bit of a gap to P3, but that's really hard to time perfectly, and I don't think they will completely trust on that.
The only thing as well is there is an overtaking opportunity down towards turn number 11 as well. We've seen Legend almost try that one quite a few times, but this is getting very interesting.
Could be
indeed.
Dylan now.
Yeah, Dylan going for it now. Down towards turn 11 and turn number 12, the chicane here, of course, named after Hans Ernst, the famous 250cc motorcycle champion, racing on a Honda, I believe, but quite irrelevant now. Here comes Avesta Gobadi through the final corner. Legend Rosenberg is going to get the slipstream. Goes for the outside, doesn't want to tuck into the slipstream. I don't think he's going to have much of a choice here. He's trying to box off Dylan McClements. McClements does not care. He's going to risk it all down the inside, and he's forced Legend into an unbelievable mistake here in his own backyard. Legend knows this circuit like the back of his hand, and Dylan has explored apart. The crash, contact made. Unbelievable drama. They were 3 abreast in towards Gerlach's box, and that's going to be the race almost decided. Or is it? No, somehow they've gone sideways. They've almost Aaron McFlipped in towards that corner, and they're still on. Dylan has damage. I think he's out of it, but the battle for the race win might still be decided between Legend and Avesta.
Whoa, that's a real shame for Dylan. Does he actually have damage? It doesn't look like he does have any damage.
I have no idea at this point. This has been unbelievable. It has all the hallmarks of Miami last season or a couple of seasons ago, where Avesta came into some misfortune on the 3rd last lap of the race and still ended up winning it. Let's see. He's got a real opportunity here. This has not gone the way Legend Rosenberg wanted it to. Avesta and Dylan thought their races were over a mere 50-odd seconds ago, and now Avesta Gobadi's got the opportunity of a lifetime. Into the slipstream comes the Ukrainian, tries it round the outside of his home hero, pulls for a defensive move. Rosenberg breaks about 50 metres later than he should, and he's got it done. I don't believe it. He really is the greatest at this sort of thing.
Oh, and there's Dylan with a bit of a move there on the inside. Surely that wasn't really... It's A little bit of revenge there for Avesta for that move earlier on.
Yeah, Dylan knows he's probably still got an opportunity here because they've all remained as close as they are. This one is not over. It is for Avesta Gobadi. It is gone for Avesta Gobadi. So Dylan knows that he's got to get past 2 cars in not a lot of track. This one might just be decided for Legend Rosenberg. And Dylan has got to pull off the mother of all moves on both of these cars. He's not even going to get one in towards turn number 11 and turn number 12. The stewards might have a couple of words to say between the cars in second and third, but I don't think there's going to be any taking away of the home hero. The king has been driving around his own backyard, a circuit where he's not been beaten for almost 3 years. Legend Rosenberg wins the Dutch Grand Prix pending stewards' removal of that 10-second penalty. What an incredible race, Leroy. A big thanks to you and your people because you've put on a show.
That was absolutely amazing, and that was actually the real excitement. Qualifying was exciting as well, but this was just a little bit of a step up on that. Yatin Bangaroo will claim P4, and I believe that will be Nathan Marriott for P5 and P6 for 7th 8. That's a big disappointment for Luke Davies, as he will inherit that 10-second penalty he got earlier on. Same goes for Matthew Cobbs. That is Timden higher than in P8, and completing that top 10 list will be Borbjorn if he makes it to the finish. Still 3 turns to go.
Yeah, Borbjorn, I feel sorry for the Sauber because I don't think we've looked at him once today. But he's going to get a point for his troubles. Not the worst day at the office, really, for
Not
Borbjorn.
too bad.
He's got a point at home, so, you know, could be worse. Could have got no points.
Absolutely. Now looking back at when you called me Tim, if I managed to get P8 here today, that would be very easy points for the effort that I put in.
Yes, absolutely. Sam Fate actually ran out of fuel on the line, reportedly. So, disappointing for him. We're going to hopefully try get an interview with Legend Rosenberg, with Avesta Gobadi, and with Dylan McClements, because that was a real barnstormer, I think. Great effort from all, even if it got a little bit scrappy towards the end.
Yeah, and I think we saw a very heroic move there at the end. Legend Rosenberg going around the outside when we thought Avesta had it sealed there. But in the end, it is Legend Rosenberg claiming that race victory.
That was an unbelievable move around the outside. Like, that was actually incredible. Avesta
Does
had the
it
move
rival?
done.
The question is, does it rival the Davison dummy?
No, that's the greatest move I've ever seen. That was unbelievable. He sent Thomas May to the shops and asked him to get about 14 things on a list. That was incredible. Thomas still hasn't recovered from that move. But your result here in the Netherlands for season 15. Provisionally, it is Avesta Gobadi who takes the win, but more likely than not, it will be Legend Rosenberg ahead of Avesta Gobadi, ahead of Dylan McClements, and it is Yafan Panguru, Nathan Marriott, Sam Fate, Luke Davies, Tim Denhar, Matthew Copsey, and then Borbjorn. And it is Morris Schumer, Khan Dulger, Adrian Tushy, Nils Hartl, Juan Hernandez, and Bas van Zijp, who rounds out the order. Let's try here then from your race winner, Legend Rosenberg. Legend, hello, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Congratulations, it is another win at home, but you had to work for that one. Firstly, talk us through that move on the last lap.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was not planned. Obviously, that move was insane. I did not expect to pull that off, but I just got late on the brake and used the banking, and I've been defending sometimes in a race through the banking there, so I thought, yeah, maybe it will work on the last lap if Avesta gets me by me, but it worked. But it was not the plan to lead into the final lap. I wanted to be second, but obviously Dylan and Avesta made contact, so yeah, it was a bit in a difficult situation, but I pulled it off.
So you are still unbeaten this season. You were unbeaten for 5 races last season. Is the plan to go better than you did in season 14?
Well, it's the plan, of course. But yeah, as you can see today, it could have been Avesta or Dylan as well. So as of now, I'm still always just edging them a little bit and winning the races, but I'm sure they will win as well this season. But yeah, 5 wins last season was quite impressive. So I hope I can do the same or even better. But yeah, we'll see.
And then describe to us just this Dutch Grand Prix circuit. Obviously, it is your home circuit. Is it one that you enjoy? Because my goodness me, our drivers finding it difficult to beat you here.
Um, I find it a qualifying track really. I kind of like the track, but it's not my favorite track. But yeah, the track is for qualifying is amazing. You know, you have a massive grip, the bankings, it's just insane. And for the race, yeah, it's good, but there are tracks that I like better. But yeah, I think every track for everyone is difficult to beat me. But yeah.
Leroy, any questions from yourself?
Well, first to begin with, those words really quite blow a little bit of punch to the rest, saying that it's quite hard to beat Legend on every track. Legend, we heard you last season. You said, I want a little bit of more competition this season, and I want a little bit more of a rivalry this season. Is this the competition that you wished for?
Uh, yes and no. Yes, it's close with like Avesta, Dylan, or even Callum if he's racing. But I feel like I always just have the pace advantage, and I'm just waiting for the last lap to play the DRS game, like always on this game. So yeah, more competition. I think it's quite the same, but I think it improved from last season. I think Dylan has become faster. Avesta is always fast, and Callum as well. He just improved massively. So yeah, there's a little bit more competition, but still, yeah, I don't know if it's enough to beat me.
Legend, thank you very much for that, and congratulations once again.
Thank you very much.
Now let's hear from the second place man, Avesta Gobadi. Avesta, congratulations. It is a podium here in Zandvoort, but something indicates to me that you might be happy with that.
No, not a bit.
Talk us through then the incident on the penultimate lap with Dylan. We saw you both go sideways. You still managed to remain in the second somehow, but just talk us through that from your perspective.
I mean, yeah, in turn one, I knew they were both gonna dive bombing crazy. If I wouldn't have backed off from that, I would just been, punted off to the gravel. I mean, they both broke really, really late. So I avoided that one, but then I got a switch back on all two of them, and I was sandwiched in the middle, so I had nowhere else to go. So both Dylan was at the right side in a corner that even two wide cars doesn't fit, let alone three. So yeah, I don't know, but I was ahead of all two of them on both Legend and Dylan. I was just sandwiched, and what happened happened. I don't think both of them had to. They both had to yield, to be honest, because I mean it ended how it did. So it definitely wasn't my fault. I was just I mean, I was sandwiched, so I had nowhere else to go. But it's a shame that this ended up to me like that.
Then you're certainly on the pace with Legend now, it seems. What can you do to beat him now, to get one over him and actually beat him come the end of the race?
I mean, Legend had new softs, and both me and Dylan didn't, because I mean, yeah, quality. If I knew that nobody had pace behind, I just would have also done one lap on the softs and just called it a day. But yeah, it was a soft advantage because I was ahead of him, but on the last lap, entering turn one, but he had just way better tires than me at the end. So he went around the outside, and I left him room. I could have easily not let him room, but I'm not a dirty driver, am I?
In the past, maybe, but not so much now. Leroy, any questions for Avesta?
No, I think he hasn't really changed a bit. I spoke to him about 7 days ago, a little bit less than that, but no, it still seems to be the same for Avesta, and I think it shows that Avesta really wants to be P1, and he's really going for it. But yeah, hopefully next time then, Avesta.
Yeah, I'll practice some laps more this time, like 1 or 2.
The Vesta always reminds me of. Do you remember that Fernando Alonso clip where he says he needs half a lap to get up to speed? That's what a Vesta reminds me of. You're in the Red Bull this season, but you're in the Aston, so yeah, you know. Vesta, thank you very much for joining us though, and congratulations once again on the podium.
Cheers.
So Leroy, I think that is about it. All we have time for. I think there's plenty of you to discuss on a certain podcast. Where can the viewers find that?
Yes. On the YouTube channel.
They can
Like
indeed.
like we can watch these live streams on the same channel. There will be the podcast. Next time that we will upload an episode will be just over a week time. That will be on a Wednesday after the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix for the second episode. Make sure to watch that and yeah.
Yes, folks, thank you very much for tuning in tonight. Hope we gave you a good race. I mean, we did. So if you didn't think that was a good race, I don't know what race you like. But thank you very much for tuning in, folks. We do greatly appreciate your support, as always. A real fun one tonight in Zandvoort. You can tune into the FVR GT Championship, which should be live tomorrow, but it will be uploaded before we're back anyways, here at the F1 series. So, folks, thank you very much. Stay safe, stay well, and we shall see you next time. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Maybe it's my own fault. Maybe I led you to believe my highlights started on the podium and not in practice.
The legend Rosenberg is a 4-time champion of the world.
Maybe I made you think that every race I did, I won.
2 litres in the tank for legend Rosenberg, rounding through the final corner. Does the greatest to ever do it, but if he doesn't, Scutz and David steals it at the yard of bricks.
Maybe it's my fault that you think I'm unbeatable. Maybe I led you to believe that championships were given to me and not something I worked for every single day. Maybe I destroyed the league, or maybe you're just making excuses. Maybe you can beat me. Come and try.